been doing it wrong this whole time. Every single shake, every scoop, every gram of protein you've been so carefully tracking, obsessively measuring, religiously consuming, a significant chunk of it has been going straight to waste. Not being used, not building anything, just passing through your body like it was never even there. And the most disrespectful part of all of this? The problem has absolutely nothing to do with your protein powder. Nothing to do with the brand. Nothing to do with whether you're using whey isolate or concentrate, grass-fed or standard, chocolate or vanilla. You could switch your entire supplement stack tomorrow, and this problem would still be there.
Bruh.
Waiting. Quietly draining the return on every single meal you eat. The real culprit is something happening deep inside your gut right now. Something invisible, and something most gym content will never actually explain to you because most gym content is built on surface-level advice dressed up to look like science. And once you understand what's actually going on in there, the biology, the mechanism, the reason your gains have been slower than they should be, despite doing everything right, the way you think about nutrition will be fundamentally, permanently different. Here's what makes this low-key one of the most underrated problems in fitness. You could be hitting your 150 grams of protein every day, perfectly tracked, perfectly timed, pre-workout, post-workout, before bed, the full routine, and still be building muscle noticeably slower than someone eating 120 grams but absorbing every single one of them efficiently. That gap, the gap between what you put in your mouth and what your body actually gets to use, is real. It's measurable. And it's being completely ignored by the fitness industry because it's far easier to sell you a new protein powder than to explain your digestive system to you. And here's where the rabbit hole gets genuinely wild. The factors destroying your protein absorption aren't exotic. They're not rare medical conditions or genetic disadvantages. They're things happening in your daily life right now, things you've probably never connected to your gains, things that seem completely unrelated to nutrition on the surface. Your stress levels, your hydration, the bacteria living in your gut, the specific foods you're eating, or not eating, alongside your protein. All of it is silently determining how much of that expensive, carefully selected protein actually crosses into your bloodstream and reaches your muscles. Most of it you've never been told about. None of it requires you to buy anything new. There's also a decades-old myth floating around the gym world that needs to be completely dismantled. Something almost every beginner gets told. Something that shapes how people structure their entire nutrition strategy. And something that researchers have shown is far more complicated than the simple number everyone keeps repeating. That myth is directly connected to how your gut processes protein, and understanding the truth behind it changes everything about how you should be eating. So here's what this video actually is. It's the explanation nobody gave you when you started caring about protein. The real science, not the brochures. The actual biology of what happens from the moment that shake hits your stomach to the moment amino acids either reach your muscles or don't. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what's going wrong and exactly what to fix. Let's get into it. First, let's understand what protein absorption actually means. Because there's a massive misconception floating around the gym community that needs to be killed immediately. A lot of people believe the body can only absorb a fixed amount of protein per meal, like 30 or 40 grams, and anything beyond that just gets flushed. That's broscience, no cap. Research published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition clarified this directly. From a pure absorption standpoint, meaning the movement of amino acids from your gut into your bloodstream, your body can technically absorb virtually unlimited protein. The intestinal wall doesn't have a hard cap like that. But, and this is where it gets interesting, absorption and utilization are two completely different things. Absorption gets the amino acids into your blood. Utilization is what your muscles actually do with them. And between those two stages, or SNES, there are multiple points where the whole system can break down without you even realizing it. The journey starts the moment that shake hits your stomach. Your stomach immediately floods the area with hydrochloric acid, dropping the pH dramatically to begin breaking down the protein structure. Proteins are essentially long, folded chains of amino acids. Think of them like tightly wound earphones, and the acid has to unfold and separate them before any real digestion can happen. This is called denaturation. From there, an enzyme called pepsin kicks in and starts slicing those chains into smaller fragments called peptides. So far, so good. But here's where things can already start going sideways. If your stomach acid production is low, a condition called hypochlorhydria, which is way more common than people think, especially in people who are chronically stressed. The denaturation process is incomplete. The protein doesn't get broken down efficiently enough. What arrives at your small intestine is still too complex for proper absorption, and a massive portion of it ends up passing through underutilized. You worked for those gains. Your stomach literally gave up before the job was done. Stress is a killer in this context, and it's for one of the most overlooked variables in the gym world. When your cortisol levels are elevated, which for most people grinding through school, work, or life is basically all the time, your digestive enzyme production drops. Your gut motility slows down or becomes erratic. Your gut lining can become compromised. All of this directly impairs how effectively your body processes the protein you're putting into it. So the guy who eats clean but is chronically stressed is genuinely getting a worse return on his protein than the guy who's more relaxed. The stress and recovery conversation isn't just about sleep and muscle repair. It starts at digestion. Now let's talk about what happens in the small intestine, because this is where the real action is. After leaving the stomach, those partially digested peptides enter the small intestine, and this is where the pancreas steps up and releases a fresh wave of enzymes, proteases like trypsin and chymotrypsin, to break the peptides down further into individual amino acids and very small di- and tripeptides, which are chains of just 2 or 3 amino acids. Those are then absorbed through the walls of the small intestine into the bloodstream via specialized transport proteins. This is the critical step. This is where your shake either becomes muscle or gets wasted. Research examining gut amino acid absorption confirms that the rate of absorption is not just about the quantity of amino acids that pass through, but is itself a key determinant of how effectively your body responds to protein at the metabolic level. In other words, speed matters as much as volume. Whey protein, for instance, is considered a fast protein. It floods the bloodstream with amino acids relatively quickly after consumption, which is why it's widely used post-workout. Casein is a slow protein, forming a gel in the stomach that releases amino acids gradually over several hours. Neither is inherently better or worse. But the context in which you use them matters enormously, and most people have never thought about this for a single second. Here's a detail that hits different once you actually sit with it. Research shows that food processing treatments, including the kind used when manufacturing protein powders, can significantly increase or decrease the rate of protein digestion and absorption, with real downstream effects on muscle protein synthesis. What this means is that not all protein powders are created equal in terms of how quickly and completely they're digested, even when the label says the same thing. The microstructure of the protein matters. How it was processed matters. This isn't marketing language. This is actual physiology. Now let's talk about the gut microbiome, because this is the part that most people are completely sleeping on. And the science here is genuinely kind of mind-bending. Your gut contains trillions of bacteria. We're talking about an ecosystem so complex that scientists are still mapping it. And research published in 2024 concluded that the composition of your gut microbiota can directly influence how well you absorb protein, which in turn affects your body composition and athletic performance. Let that sink in for a second. The bacteria living in your gut are partially determining how effective your protein intake actually is. Here's the mechanism. A healthy, diverse gut microbiome supports the integrity of the intestinal lining, the wall through which amino acids are absorbed. It also produces short-chain fatty acids and other compounds that support the function of your gut cells. When your microbiome is disrupted through poor diet, antibiotic use, excessive alcohol, chronic stress, or a diet too low in fiber, the intestinal lining can become what researchers refer to as leaky. Tight junctions between cells loosen. The barrier becomes less efficient, and protein absorption takes a hit as a direct consequence. This is why 2 people eating identical amounts of protein can get wildly different results. It's not just genetics. It's not just training. A significant part of it is the internal environment they've built or destroyed through their daily habits. The guy wondering why his gains have plateaued despite perfect macros might need to stop staring at his food scale and start paying attention to his gut health. Clinical research examining amino acid absorption found that combining protein intake with probiotic supplementation showed a meaningful improvement in total amino acid absorption over a 15-day period compared to protein alone, suggesting the gut microbiome plays an active, not passive role in protein utilization. This is not a fringe finding. This is a randomized, double-blind crossover trial. Peer-reviewed. The bacteria in your gut are either working with you or against you. Let's bring this back to something practical, because the science is only useful if you can actually do something with it. There are several specific things that are likely sabotaging your protein absorption right now, and they're all fixable. The first one is timing relative to fat and fiber. Eating a high-fat meal right before or alongside a fast-digesting protein like whey dramatically slows gastric emptying, meaning the protein sits in your stomach longer before reaching the small intestine. Research confirms that consuming protein alongside other macronutrients delays digestion and absorption compared to consuming isolated protein on its own. This isn't always a problem. Around a workout, when you want rapid amino acid availability, slamming a shake with a heavy meal is genuinely counterproductive. Post-workout, whey works best in a relatively simple, low-fat context so it can do its job quickly. The second thing is overall gut health and fiber intake. This one is low-key the most slept-on variable in the entire fitness community. The majority of gym-focused diets are extremely high in protein and extremely low in prebiotic fiber, the type of fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Without that fiber, your microbiome diversity drops. The gut lining weakens. Absorption efficiency degrades over time. You're essentially starving the ecosystem that was built to help you absorb the protein you're obsessing over. Adding diverse plant-based foods, oats, garlic, onions, legumes, and fermented foods like yogurt or kefir to your diet isn't soft eating. It's literally supporting your gains at the cellular level. The third thing is hydration. Your digestive enzymes are water-dependent. When you're dehydrated, which, if you're training hard and not drinking enough water, you almost certainly are at some point during the day, enzyme activity drops. Digestion slows. The entire breakdown process becomes less efficient. This is one of the simplest fixes imaginable, and it's wild how many people are meticulous about their protein intake, but routinely walk around chronically underhydrated. The fourth thing, and this one will genuinely make you rethink some habits, is the role of chronic stress. As mentioned earlier, elevated cortisol suppresses digestive function at multiple levels. This is your body's evolutionary response. In a danger state, digestion is deprioritized because running from a threat is more urgent than absorbing your post-workout meal. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between being chased and being chronically anxious about exams or work. The physiological response is similar. Managing stress isn't just a mental health recommendation. It is a nutrition and performance strategy. So what does this all mean in practical terms? It means the protein game is way more nuanced than the fitness industry has led you to believe. Hitting your macros is the starting point, not the finish line. What actually determines your results is the internal environment you've created. Your gut health, your stress levels, your hydration, your microbiome diversity, and the timing and context of your protein intake. The shift in mindset here is from quantity to quality of absorption, from how much you're consuming to how much you're actually using. Because at the end of the day, the muscle doesn't know how many scoops you put in the shaker. It only knows what amino acids actually arrived in the bloodstream ready to be used. And right now, for most people training hard and eating high protein, there is a measurable gap between those two numbers. The good news is that the gut is remarkably adaptable. The changes that impair protein absorption are largely reversible with consistent, relatively simple interventions. More fiber, better hydration, stress management that actually gets taken seriously. Thoughtful timing of protein relative to training and other macronutrients. These aren't complicated protocols requiring expensive supplements or radical lifestyle overhauls. They're foundational habits that the science has been pointing to for years. Your protein shake hasn't been failing you. Your gut has been running on a system you never optimized. Now you know what to actually fix.